And welcome to another episode of Zob's Takes. I'm Zob. Across the Zoom is Niles. The big news this week in the NBA was the draft. Cooper Flagg going number one to the Mavericks. And Niles, it leaves me with this question. Can Cooper Flagg and the Mavericks come out of the West?
Yes, I think it's very possible for them to win the West. I think they have the roster to do it, honestly. I don't see why not with the size that they have on the roster.
What do you mean by the size on the roster? Be more specific. You can't just
Yes.
tell me they've got their roster.
Yeah. So when I look at the roster, what I see is a lot of size between the forward spots and the big spots. That having like Cooper Flagg being 6'10" and being able to do a lot of things on both ends of the floor. Their willingness to have Anthony Davis starting at the four, PJ Washington being a good size 3 or 4. Then you have Lively and Gafford. When you have guys like that that are tall, long, and athletic and able to switch, also having that with on the perimeter with Martin and Christie and Clay, you can switch and you can break up a lot of defensive situations. So I really like that when you combat them against a team like OKC or a team like Houston.
Well, let me just
They
stop
can
you
do a
right
lot.
there, Niles. I will give you the biggest argument is when you've got Gafford, Lively, Davis. You got three huge guys who are defensive beasts who you could drop not only defensively but on the offensive end. You've got all those lobs, and they've got the guards with Kyrie, and
Exactly.
you're gonna and even they got Cooper Flag coming in now. But here's my thing: Kyrie's 33 coming off an ACL tear. Anthony Davis is so unreliable. Clay Thompson at this stage of his career, especially at a guard position, to be 35, he's going to have a hard time staying in front of people. So to me, there's just too many question marks with that team to say that they're going to, they come out of the West. To me, it's more of a curve with this
So
team.
what I'll combat with that is that's where it comes down to coaching and putting guys in the right positions to be successful. And that's where that's where Jason Kidd comes into the fold. Because we have the names, we have the roster. The talent on the roster on paper looks very good. Obviously, when you have Kyrie healthy and you add a backup guard, which I think Dallas is going to do, there's a lot of talent on that team. Jason Kidd is a high IQ guy. He's going to put these guys in the right positions to succeed, and they can play in transition, and then they can play in the half court with Kyrie Irving, and they can play a lot of different styles of basketball.
Yeah, but
That's what I like about this team.
Niles, you could honestly look at this roster and tell me they're anywhere close to OKC.
They're not as young as OKC, but I think they can make up with that with championship experience. Klay Thompson and Anthony Davis are champions. Kyrie Irving is a champion. Jason Kidd is a champion. I think they can figure out game plans and unlock the depth of the basketball where you got to think the game to expose a team like OKC, kind of like
Niles,
Indiana did with OKC this year. I
but
think they can
Niles,
definitely beat OKC in a 7-game series.
you brought up Clay Thompson's a champion. Those days are long gone for Clay. He's not the same Clay Thompson. Same with AD. Anthony Davis is that was the bubble year. That's a ways away. Jason Kidd is a championship player. He hasn't proven it as a coach. You look at the Thunder, you got guys right now coming. They're going to be better next year. I think Chet's going to be better next year. Okay? Shea's not going anywhere. We know their depth. We know they're insane. You brought up defense, or at least I brought it up for the Mavs.
They're going to be a top 10 defense.
I
Mavericks.
agree, but man, I don't see them. And
And
to
then you
me,
add 25 points per game at February. If you break it down to
if
having
Kyrie comes back healthy, and here's my thing, last point I'm going to make, Niles, why I love a team like, even a team like, you think about Minnesota's had a couple runs in a row,
yeah,
OKC, the young Houston team. I mean, the NBA playoffs is long. The season's long. There's more possessions per game ever now. So it's a lot of wear and tear on these teams. And I don't look at Dallas as a team that's built to sustain that.
I think they have enough scoring to at the end of the day to play off of their defense. If as long as they're holding teams under 110, I don't think there's really any team that's going to be able to beat them. I just don't think it's possible. There's too
You're
much
very
size.
confident they're going to be fully healthy throughout the playoffs.
I really think it's possible. I think a lot of things have to go right. I'm not exactly worried about certain guys wearing down. That's not how I necessarily look at things. I think it's much more within the lens of things. I think Kyrie coming back in January prevents him having a wear down by the playoffs. if they manage Anthony Davis. I'm not worried about the rest of the roster. I think Anthony Davis obviously has that label, but we don't
Yeah.
really have that same issue with the rest of the roster. Klay Thompson was fairly durable last year. He didn't
All right.
have injuries where I would be concerned.
All right. Well, listen, I don't think they are going to be contending at the top of the West. You do. Let us know what you think in the comments. Have a great night, Niles.
Absolutely. Good
See ya.
one.